All right. All right. We're here. How long did this take to get this thing going? Legit.
Oh my God.
Too long.
Years upon years, and then we get everything off the ground in the moment, and then it also takes forever, like at a smaller capacity. So
Yeah.
just a lot of hurdles, but we are here, and this is
We're here.
the Bush League Boys pod.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I'm Sam, Cam, Chris. We've known each other since we were toddlers, and we really like baseball, so that's what we're going to talk about.
Just three
All the
dudes
time.
talking baseball.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That's
all you
it.
Nothing else. Yeah, so jump right into it. I mean, we're starting obviously at a weird time. End of the season instead of being in the season, so we can look back on everything instead of looking forward. We'll do that later.
Wouldn't be a better time.
I agree. We got a lot of content to cover, a lot of catching up
That's
to
right.
do because it's still 2022. It ain't 23 yet.
Makes it interesting.
It's a true story. Yeah, so we'll just jump in. Let's talk about regular season. I think we talked about this before. I think this was like one of the most exciting regular seasons in forever. Like, I mean, obviously, like you got just records being broken all over the place, just weird stuff, exciting baseball. You got sleepers coming up out of nowhere. You got great division races. Like, I mean, it's like
The big one.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. The big one that we were talking about was that Mets and Braves race. Coming down to the wire,
Oh my
finishing with the same amount of wins and having it go down to a tiebreaker where the Braves take it.
Sorry. You cannot call that anything but a collapse from the Mets. Don't
No,
care.
no,
I know
no,
they
no.
still made the playoffs.
See,
They still made the playoffs. How far off were they on the Braves throughout the entire year?
I think
And they
11
come
years.
down to
11
the
years.
fight
11,
at the end.
11 games, I think, was the highest. But I honestly think, like, the Mets never really wavered. They just kind of kept on keeping on, and they just never turned it up. And I think that's what the Braves did. I think more than the Mets collapsing, the Braves caught them. The Braves caught up because they were in August and September. They were playing the best baseball in the league. There was nobody that was even really. I think at this point in time, there are two teams that are leaps and bounds above everybody in the MLB, and that's the Braves and the Astros. And I think
You wouldn't put the
August and
Dodgers in
September
there?
showed that. I don't think so because I think all right.
Just wait.
You could put them up there, but I think you have to reevaluate that after this offseason because they got a lot of guys that have question marks.
I'm just okay with not putting them in there, too, also due to the fact that they play, and aside from them and the Padres, their division is trash.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
even
yeah,
with their-
the Giants. There was a total fluke last year.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Other than that-
Until
that
the
was thing.
Padres made all those trades at the trade deadline this year, they were leaps and
they
bounds
were.
ahead of them even too.
Yeah,
But
The
it was
Padres
like,
are.
the Giants finished with, 107 wins last year, and then
Yeah.
finished
And they had what?
500 this year?
yeah,
Yeah.
81
and 81 this year.
81 and
exactly.
81. So,
Yeah, it's not. And if anything, I mean, the only guy they really lost was Buster Posey. I mean, I guess
right.
they lost Chris Bryant, but how long did they have him for last year? 60 games
They get him. Wasn't he a trade
at
deadline?
the deadline.
Acquisition? Yeah.
So I think it's that one didn't really make a lot of sense. I think it just proved that it was kind of a fluke season last year for them because if anything, their pitching staff got better. You add Rodon,
Yeah.
who's the best pitcher in the Central last year in the AL Central. So and he had a good year too. But
I think he went 14 and 9. So, I mean,
But for a
not
team
great,
that
not
went
terrible.
500,
right?
for a team that went 500, that's pretty damn good. You put him on last year's Giants team, he's probably a 20-win pitcher.
While we're on the subject of the whole pitching staff thing, going back to the Mets and Braves controversy, the Mets won 101 games, and how long did they not have DeGrom? How long did they not have Scherzer? They both missed a huge chunk of time, and they're
Mets
still
blocked
finding
kept
ways
in
to win
them.
game with guys like Chris Bassett, Taijuan
I was gonna
Walker,
say,
David Peterson. Like, they just
the
have
guy-
dogs in that rotation. Tyler McGill, and they're just throwing guys in there, and they're finding ways to win.
I think the guy that is kind of their unsung hero was Chris Bassett this year. The dude literally, again, stats don't look crazy, but he kind of put that rotation on his back during because even when you had Scherzer and DeGrom, there was a period where they were both kind of coming back, going back on the IL, like back and forth. There was basically Bassett was the only staple in that whole rotation.
Especially with you didn't know what you were going to get when he came back either. Especially after taking that line drive off the face, you could get a guy who's never going to be what he was when he was in Oakland, who was an absolute dog.
I was going to say,
you just don't know what you're going to get. And he just came back, and he didn't have his best year, but he shoved.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think he's their unsung hero. I think he literally carried that staff. He did, and down the stretch, it was. I honestly think the downfall of the Mets was Scherzer and DeGrom coming back. It seemed to have kind of messed with like whatever chemistry they had going, especially the pitching staff. It just seemed to kind of start to fall apart at the seams slowly when those guys both made it back.
I'm curious what you guys
saw
think
it in
too.
the playoffs.
Yeah. Go ahead, Cam, if you have more to add.
No, I was just going to say, you saw it in the playoffs. DeGrom and Scherzer, they had their worst games against the Padres when those two were pitching. Like, you just could tell, like, those were not your best guys when you got to the postseason.
Well, that just goes to show you how valuable regular season experience is, too. Like, if you have this guy who pitches 50 innings in the regular season and you think he's going to come out in the playoffs and be your horse, like, it's just not going to happen.
No.
Well, there's a good point to that, too. Like, I think it goes down to, like, you got guys like Valdez, Javier, dudes like that. They're bona fide postseason veterans. These guys have been there. They've done that. And despite a lot of them not having won it, they've been there before. And I think the difference is that those guys know how to turn it on. They know how to put in that extra work to get themselves over that hump. And like that shows exactly to me, like Scherzer, I guess, doesn't qualify as much because obviously he's had a couple postseason runs between the Tigers and the Nats and then the Dodgers last year. But DeGrom didn't have that postseason experience before, and I think it proved that over that 162-game season, people aren't putting in the work quite as much as they do in the postseason to really game plan a pitcher. And I think DeGrom pitching in the postseason against the Padres showed how beatable he was. I think it kind of it exposed him. I really think, and I think him coming back next year, I think you're going to see his pitching style a lot different. His sequencing is going to be different. I wouldn't be surprised if he adds some pitches, drops some pitches. He's going to be a very different pitcher next year.
He's going to have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious what you guys think, too, because like they talked about it, whatever it was, 2 years ago with DeGrom, where this dude had like a sub, whatever it was, 1.75 ERA and was still losing a stupid amount of games. Like, I don't know what it is with that Mets offense or why that happens, but I don't know. It just doesn't make sense.
You know what the reasoning is?
Who's a dog. Yeah.
The reasoning is the Mets are going to Met. That's it.
I mean, that's what it is to it, right?
The Mets are going to Met.
But then you have a guy go out there that nobody's ever heard of, some AAA player making his first start, and they'll put up 14 runs. Like, I just don't get it.
I almost wonder if it's a chemistry thing. And I know, like, baseball is probably the most single, especially pitchers, most single, it's on you. But at the end of the day, if you're not good in the clubhouse, I wonder if there's just certain guys who don't want to fight for him.
Well, it's like a lot of the times, too, when DeGrom's on the mound, you're going to face another team's one as well. Like, that's just how things are lining up. But at the same time, when you have a guy with a sub-2 ERA and he loses however many games that he lost, I don't know the exact numbers, but it was a lot.
Right. There's something else going on.
It's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's just some guys.
It's not always.
Yeah. It's just some guys just don't get run support. Simple as that. And Chris makes a good point that when you have such a dominant ace like that, especially say you're matching up against a division rival in, say, really post All-Star break games, you're seeing their ace too. So right off the bat right there, DeGrom can go out there and give you 7 strong, give up 3 runs. And if they're running their ace out there too, 3 runs might be enough to beat him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he could, if that ace comes out and he shuts him down, like, and I think that's what explains those numbers quite a bit, is just that, and at least in a division that's not super strong teams-wise, all those teams still have aces. You got Miami in the basement's got Alcantara.
Yeah.
So, like, that's a very strong pitching division. I would say that's my guess, at least, to why those numbers come out looking like that. But I think he's as good as gone after he just opted out. I think there's no way he goes back there.
No. He's going to look for something new.
Just kind of flipping it real quick while we're talking about aces on the staffs. You know who won the most games for the Braves this year? That was surprising to me when
Spencer Strider.
Nope.
Didn't Strider win like 21 games?
Kyle Wright won 21 games.
So Strider won 20.
So it had to have been something like that. But I was looking at it and
Kyle Wright.
Kyle Wright, 21 wins, huh?
Yeah. You know who had an absolute like just downfall, like curious if he'll ever pitch again season is Ian Anderson. That dude absolutely fell apart after the World Series last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was bad. Like I think they sent him down, didn't they? I think he's pitching in Gwinnett. Like that's crazy.
That's kind of sad.
He won you. Didn't he win him 2 games in the World Series last year? Against the Astros, which is the same offense this year that they had last year. You could argue that it's better this year.
For him.
Insane.
I was thinking about it. Did the Braves win the World Series when we were in Colorado? Was that
No,
year?
that was 19. That was Nats. No. Yeah, that was fall of 19. Nats won it that year. Braves were 21.
Oh, it was. That's right.
Yeah, because when Nats, Dodgers, Braves, now Astros.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was thinking about it. The dude Tucker Davidson, I think was his name, that started Game 7 for the Braves. I think that's what it was. But he's pitching for the Angels, and it was just a weird train of thought that I had. I was like, this dude's on the Angels now, huh?
Yeah, I feel like you always there ends up being guys like that every year that like just kind of come out of nowhere in the postseason and then somehow end up with somebody else getting a big deal, and then you never hear about him ever again.
Right.
Like I feel like Ranger Suarez could be the next guy like that. Or like you didn't hear too much about him in the regular season. He's solid, but like I feel like you could see him go to like LA, get paid, and then just tumble into obscurity and just
disappear.
Yeah, just never hear who the hell Ranger Suarez is ever again.
The Angels are kings of that, just overpaying for a guy who had a good postseason, but no, sorry, you're going to suck for us.
Angels are in shambles, dude. They have no idea what they want to do with that franchise. They're like,
are
we in win mode now, or are we in rebuild mode? And they're in like this weird place right in the middle.
Well, then today their GM comes out and says that they have no plans of trading Shohei Ohtani. I'm like,
they should get rid of him.
So are you trying to win now, or are you?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is
last year.
Well, he just signed a 1-year extension.
Did he? Yeah. Okay.
And I think they technically have him till is he under arbitration till the end of this year or next year?
I have no idea. But even still, so like, are you in win now mode, or are you in a rebuild? Like, what is happening? Because realistically, you're not winning that division. There's 0% chance of you winning that division ahead of Houston or Seattle. It's just not happening. So you're going to play your cards and hope you get a wild spot, and Shohei and Trout are going to lead you there. Like, great, you have two superstars, but you have nothing else around. Who do you have? Taylor Ward. Like,
name the rest of their pitching staff. You got Lorenzen's gone. I believe he's already been released. Like, or not released. His contract's over. You got Patrick Sandoval, who he was good last year, but again, like
he's not gonna have a repeat.
You cannot. The Astros, perfect example. You cannot win a World Series with a 2-man rotation. Not even a 3-man. You need 4 bona fide arms to get you there, and you got to have a bullpen that's lights out. The Astros just broke the damn postseason record. What did their bullpen give up? Like 2 runs the whole postseason or something stupid like that?
Yeah, something
like,
ridiculous.
It's absurd. Yeah. It's absurd.
Yeah.
That's just, I think the Astros are... You're going to see teams building teams a lot more similar to the Astros, where like there's no superstars in the Astros. Think about it. Like Yordan Alvarez is a future superstar. Verlander's over the hill, still going to win a Cy Young. But like, think of they don't have like faces.
Like, right?
Yeah, they don't have any faces in the game.
Not that anymore.
No, but I think Yordan is on his way.
Someday.
Yeah, I think Yordan and Pena are probably the faces of Yordan, Pena, and Julio, I think, are the future faces of baseball, and I don't think you can really argue with that.
Yeah,
those teams are going to be gutting it out. Seattle and Houston are going to be gutting it out for like the next 12 years.
That division is going to be a lot of fun. So that division is going to be a lot of fun. The NL East is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I'd say the NL West is going to be a lot of fun.
AL East is going to be ridiculous for years.
Let's do this.
Especially with Baltimore turning it on.
Season recap. Let's run down team to team. So like start with the AL East and just like we'll say how we felt about the team season. So Yankees. I say disappointment.
Yeah,
You gotta be
would also
disappointed.
be on board with that.
You gotta be better than that.
This was supposed to be your year, especially
You're
with
talking-
everybody that you had.
Dude, you're talking at the All-Star break. We're not talking April, May. You're talking at the All-Star break. The Yankees may be breaking the single season wins record.
Yeah, and
They didn't even win 100. They didn't even
And
break
then
a
a month-
century.
Not even like 2 weeks later. I think what were you and I texting Sam like, oh, are the Yankees gonna have a Red Sox type collapse? Like, what was going on with them second
And
half of the season?
they almost did.
I don't know, dude. I think Aaron Boone's a big part of the problem over there.
And Steinbrenner already said he's
Yeah.
keeping them around.
Yeah, which I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, how do you not even make it to the ALCS? Or did they make it to the ALCS?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, they
Yeah,
were
all right.
there.
Well, they got the first round bye too. So
They got
didn't have to play the wild card.
a participation medal for the ALCS.
Yeah, they got swept, right? 4-0. Is that what
Yeah,
that
the
was?
absolutely
Astros did.
bent
Thanks for
over.
coming.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. With that roster, especially, how do you not win it? Like Kermit Cole doesn't have it in him. He can't win the big game.
Mm-mm.
Aaron Judge was absolutely terrible in the postseason.
Harrison Bader, though. Harrison Bader turned up.
Yeah, aside from that fly ball that he dropped.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
that was
Garrett
rough.
Cole had him,
That was
though.
scary.
Garrett Cole said, I got you.
Yeah, and that serves up a ding dong. Playing at a Little League park. Friggin' who hit the home run? I think it was
Chaz McCormick.
Chaz McCormick hit like
Yeah.
a 334-foot home run.
Oh, yeah. Like, I think, if you can't tell, for anyone's listening, Garrett Cole, not a friend of the podcast.
Kermit Cole.
Sorry.
Kermit Cole.
Garrett D.
All right.
Cole here. So, yeah.
Let's
But,
move
uh,
on. Toronto.
They're coming.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think they're still young.
They're coming.
They're still young, and they still have tons of promise. I think, especially if Judge leaves the Yankees and they don't make another moves, I think there's a very good chance that Toronto probably wins the division next year.
I think you have an argument if Judge leaves the AL East. I think Toronto
I
has
think
a good chance. But
I think there's like a 2%
I still think there's a
he
chance
goes.
Judge shows up at the AL East.
I mean, he's not going to Toronto. He's not
I
going to
don't think
Baltimore. He ain't going to the Red Sox. And then
Well,
you think he's got a bigger payroll in the entire Rays organization. You're talking front office. You're talking groundskeepers. Like, you're talking everything.
I
Like, you
think the
literally
Red
think
Sox
they'd
have
have
a
to
good chance of
refinance the
them.
mortgage if they wanted to bring in Aaron Judge. Yeah, I think. Well, they got Schneider now. They got a young manager at the helm that the players seem to like.
Yep.
I will say that
Yeah.
they fired Montoya at a pretty weird time, but it seemed to have worked
Yeah.
for him.
They seem to wake up the players and they're like, oh, all right,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, it kind of gave him something to play for. I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think they're young. They have a ton of promise. Their core, very similar to Houston and Seattle. Their core is super young.
Mm.
Because, I mean, yeah, top to bottom,
You're gonna be going around,
pretty young.
You're going to be going around Vladdy and Bichette for a long time. I think
Yeah.
you need to get more out of Kevin Biggio, to be honest.
He didn't even play this year, really. He was benched, basically.
He's been
I mean,
all over the place.
Alejandro Kirk, too. Diamond in the rough. They got that
Yeah.
dude for nothing.
I think they need
Tapia,
to
too,
lock
seems to
up
be,
Springer long term.
AL
Yeah.
East killer, at least. He
Raimel
seems to always do
Tapia.
good against teams.
My Colorado Rockies legend, Raimel Tapia.
But they're
And-
just another team. Their lineup from top to bottom is just loaded. Like even guys
Yeah.
like Lourdes Gurriel, like
Yeah.
Randall Grichuk, like
Yeah.
just absolutely going crazy.
Randall Grichuk plays for the Colorado Rockies.
He used to play. Used to play for them.
The Colorado
Um,
Rockies.
I said Grichuk, but I had Springer on my mind because
Yeah.
Springer's playing Sunday now.
We need like
Um,
the part of the interruption mute button for that one, Chris.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth for a minute.
That's fine. That's where you need to play that little soundboard.
Chris
that-
goes Randall Grichuk, and I was like,
Wait a
what did he say?
All right.
hit me with the bozo button. No, I said Grichuk, but I had Springer on my mind.
Yeah.
On that note,
Um,
I will say,
Right.
on the same vein as Randall Grichuk, you're going to see him get moved to the Rockies, probably to a contender this year, because that dude had a career renaissance this year. He had a very good year for the Rockies.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he will probably not be there to play at Coors in the spring. But
womp
yeah,
womp.
next up, we got
the Rays.
Rays. I think they're on the way out.
Yep.
I think the Rays are on the verge of a rebuild. I think they're they're the last surviving team that still plays that Moneyball style of like strategy with bringing in players real cheap, short term. I think that's dying really fast.
Yeah,
and I
agree. I just don't think it's going to work.
No, I don't think so.
Analytics,
You're going to have
analytics
to spend,
that are coming out have done it
Right.
better, but you still have to pay those guys now.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
players are caught up to it.
Even if you wanted to change your whole style, like who do you have now that you could build around?
Wander Franco. That's it.
That's it.
The only guy they have.
thought it was a Rosarena, and after this year,
Shane McClanahan, maybe.
Yeah,
Like-
McClanahan and Franco is your core.
But it's even after that. Like, who do you have in your starting rotation aside from McClanahan? You have Luis Patino, who's going to be
Oh, no,
nice
they have,
somewhere down the line.
Jesus Christ, Glass now.
That's true.
He's coming back from Tommy John.
yeah, Glass
Ooh.
now.
Tyler
Glass
Glass
now.
now.
Glass now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he pitched one game. this
Okay,
year.
but
Yeah,
Even-
but
even
he's coming
still.
back from
He's one of
Tommy
those
John.
guys. He's one of those guys that sits really high up in people's minds that he's this stud, but he really hasn't proven a hell of a lot yet. He's still pretty raw, untapped, and there's a lot of question marks around him. And there's more question marks around him now that he's coming back from Tommy John. Like, yeah, he looked good in that one start, but they have a lot of ground to make up, and
See-
especially in the AL. The AL East is unequivocally the best division in baseball.
Oh yeah,
With the Orioles now?
Absolutely.
With the Orioles now? Are you kidding me? With the
Yeah, so
Orioles
let's talk
being
about them real quick.
but
Hold on.
they're being honestly this year coming up with I gotta imagine that Grayson Rodriguez is going to be on the opening day roster.
Yeah.
You got to imagine, right? So you
Uh,
have, or it could be like
I'm-
a May June call up.
Yeah, so I'm on the fence with that one right now. I feel like they're gonna give them the start of the season in AAA, see where they're at
Yeah.
after a month, and if
But
he can be an
I
asset
think,
for them, then
I was going to
great.
say, I think he's a guy who's probably going to be an early call up.
Yeah.
Because then you got him, Rutschman, and Gunnar Henderson has already proven the dude
Gunner's
mashes.
proven he's ready.
He mashes. The dude's legit. I mean, Rugnet Odor, career
He's a free agent.
renaissance year. Oh, really? So
Yeah.
I would not be
I
surprised.
think
if he
they should
resigns with
resign
them.
him. Yeah,
Yeah, because they
absolutely.
can get him pretty cheap too. They could probably get
Yep.
him on like 11 or 12 a
Jorge,
year.
Jorge Mateo won a Gold Glove, didn't he?
Yeah, he plays for the Twins now. Or no, Jorge
Oh, did
Mateo.
he go
Sorry,
to-
I was thinking Jorge Lopez. Sorry, yeah, Jorge Mateo
no,
did
Jorge.
win a Gold Glove. Yeah.
Yep.
You got Ramon, was it Arias?
Urias. Yep.
Yeah. You got him. You got Cedric, who's Cedric already proven that he's a 30-30 guy on his best year. He had an off
Okay.
year, but when
Ryan
he's
Mountcastle
on
stepped in after they got rid of Mancini.
Austin Hayes. Austin Hayes is legit.
Yeah.
It's-
Like they have a super young core. I would say in 3, 4, 5 years time, you're going to see a whole lot of Mariners, Astros, and Orioles in the ALCS.
Yeah.
Those are going to be the three teams in the AL that I think the Yankees always find a way to make it happen. As we know, as Red Sox fans, our teams move in ebbs and
Bottom of the
flows. We
barrel.
go up and down and up and down. So
Listen,
I-
we're bottom
we'll be
this year.
there.
That means we're World Series next year.
it's true. It's just how math
What
works.
usually happens.
Tim,
I mean,
if you think
and the
there's
Red
a shot
Sox
in hell
have-
we even make the playoffs,
I know.
you're out of your door.
Well, and the Red Sox have,
just
again,
wait.
very good prospects. The Yankees don't have a ton of prospects. They got Oswaldo Cabrera, who was pretty legit this year.
Yep.
You got Trevino, who is pretty much just like came out of nowhere. You got Estevan Florial coming up, who's very legit. Like they have some guys coming up, but I just don't. I think as the years progress, unfortunately, it looks like the Red Sox and Yankees are probably the two worst teams in the East because the Rays have prospects, but again, it's if they spend to build around those prospects. So
The Rays are going to be a fringe team. They're going to have
I
the
agree,
good
yeah.
years when they bring their players up, but as
Yep.
soon as they start losing those guys, it's going to
exactly. They're going to be
they're
like
going to be
the,
a weird team for years.
like the I say comparatively to like the Cubs in 2016, where they're
Yeah.
going to have a year where everything kind of comes together, and then after that, everybody's going to leave and disperse. But like we were saying before, I don't think the Rays got a shot in hell really going forward if they keep playing the style that they play. It just does. It's not going to work.
I agree.
Unless they move back to Montreal, then we'll talk about it.
God.
Yeah, that ain't
We
happening.
get the Expos back, and then maybe.
Yeah. We'll go Orioles. We'll finish with the Red Sox because that's going to be a sad topic.
Red Sox are just
Orioles, we touched on them a little bit, but I think there's a very real chance that they could be a wild card team next year.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't think they're there yet. I think there's a chance that they get there.
That's
Yes.
what I'm saying. I think there's a chance. It's not like I think Toronto. Toronto's basically a lock for the playoffs next year. They're either going to win the division or they're going to be the top wild card team, maybe second to Seattle. But other than that, like the Blue Jays are as close to a lock to the playoffs, I think, as you can be for next year.
Yeah.
But the Orioles have a real chance, especially if they bring back some of those guys. If their young core keeps playing good, if they bring up Grayson Rodriguez and he's got an impact, and John Means gets healthy and he's in that mix, like their rotation, like we said before, like they don't have any crazy arms, but they have guys that eat innings, and then they got a bullpen that shuts it down.
That's the biggest thing. So they did what they did this year. They finished 4 games above 500 with guys in their starting rotation that practically had no major league experience and were kind of just thrown into the fire. So now hopefully you're getting John Means back, right? You have Jordan Lyles, who's kind of a veteran who kind of holds things down, won 12 games for them. You got guys like Spencer Watkins. You got guys like Tyler Wells. You have guys like Austin Voth. You have guys like Dean Kremer. These are just guys who can literally just take the ball, throw strikes, and win you ball games. So they're not going to set the world on fire, but they're going to give you a chance to win. And their lineup is good enough where they can do damage.
Yeah,
right. Exactly. And I think kind of opposite of how we were talking about DeGrom in the NL East, I think the AL East is not a division with a ton of dominant pitching. You got good pitching, not crazy dominant. So if you got pitchers that can go out there and eat innings and they sit in it with an ERA between 3 and 4, but you got an offense that can go out there and be in the top 50% of the league, you're probably going to win games.
Yeah.
And I think that's all it comes down to for the Orioles is I think, and they just they have this mentality when they're going out there with these guys that have no experience. They just let it hang out. And that's why they were so good down the stretch. That's why they were so good down the stretch.
Yeah, I do
they
get
just
the
realized
feeling, too,
play.
that it did feel like them moving the left field wall back helped their pitchers out a lot this year.
Yeah. I mean, it was
21 compared to this year. They gave up a lot more home runs in 21 this year.
It was a porch.
Just right over the left field wall.
It was literally a porch. Yeah.
So it almost felt like that gave them a big boost.
Which, if that's what it takes to make the Orioles another competitive team, I'm for it. More competitive baseball, the better. I don't like watching dumpster dweller teams. So I don't, and I hate watching baseball games at Little League fields.
So you're not hopping on the Reds wagon this year?
The Reds, no, but we can skip over them. We don't need to talk about them.
Yeah.
So let's to the bane of our existence.
Yeah,
the Boston Red Sox.
This one hurts the heart.
Yeah,
Chaim Bloom is on the biggest hot seat of his life now.
His head is laying in the guillotine, waiting.
That man.
And if March comes around and that he doesn't make any moves. He's good as gone, because I think there's one thing for me, like there's no takeaways from this season. Basically, it was the most mediocre season the Red Sox have had. We weren't horrible, they weren't good. Like it was just a very mediocre season, and there's zero takeaways other than the fact that the organization has shown that they have no direction.
Yeah,
you trade away Vasquez, who is one of the heart and soul players of your locker room. You trade him away for virtually nothing, pretty low-end prospects, nothing crazy, solid, okay prospects. So you trade them away and you go, okay, we're rebuilding, fine. Let's gut the system, start over. And then you start bringing in McGuire, you bring in Hosmer, you bring in Pham. It's there's no direction because it's showing me partly rebuilding and then partly bringing guys in. And that's what's pissing me off that Chaim Bloom's doing is just show us a direction. Just start dumping guys or start bringing guys in. Give me one or the other.
I feel like he's trying to do the same thing that he did with the Rays organization too. He's trying to turn it around that way because it worked there, and
different market.
They had a good run, and that's exactly what it is. It's a whole different market, a whole different beast. And you made a good point. You're bringing in guys like Hosmer, we have him for 3 years.
Right.
He has 3 years on his contract. You're bringing in guys like Pham, who
just opted, or they just didn't pick up his option. He's gone.
Didn't pick up his option, but still, I just don't understand where we're going or what our mindset is, but there's just no
it's confusing
direction.
Yeah,
the way I was kind of looking at it, and after the season I really looked at this, every single prospect that we've talked about this year for the Red Sox who's good, they're not Bloom guys. Dombrowski is the guy that brought them all in. So trading all these guys, obviously Vasquez trade away it hurt, but it almost felt like Bloom was trying to be like, yeah, see, these
Clean
are
the
the guys
slate
that,
from Dombrowski
yeah,
and get his own.
these are the
kind
guys
of
that
in
I
there.
identified. Like, this is my
But
team
here's
now.
the thing: like, he picked up the team 3 years separated from the greatest team in franchise history. Like, you don't
And we
need to
haven't
gut
done
it. You
No.
don't need to gut it. Like,
Mm-mm.
last year was a fluke. They were not
Mhm.
supposed to go to the ALCS. They had a good
Nope.
postseason run because they had the veterans that were there, and they
Mhm.
made it happen. The veterans basically just carried them there.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not a. Yeah,
I don't.
it's the lack of direction for me that's just frustrating.
Yeah.
And I
agree.
think they have a very similar situation to the White Sox. I think the White Sox are in a very, very similar situation.
I don't even blame him for like trading away Mookie. I'll give him Mookie. He was brought here. I'm sure the owners told him first thing,
Well, they got value.
we're
for him.
not signing him. Yeah, and
Yeah.
he got, I think, what you could get from Mookie Betts for what at the time was a 1-year rental. Obviously, the Dodgers signed him again,
Yeah.
but for what he got for him, I think he did the best he could with that. But then just selling off everything else, selling off Vasquez, selling off who else did he trade? Oh, Benintendi. Like
Yeah.
that. Those two moves alone just had no need.
I don't
for
have
it.
I don't know how you guys feel about the whole Bogarts and Devers scenario too, but I don't exactly have a bone in my body that says we're in a great spot with those two.
So I think
I don't have faith we resign either.
I think
I feel like we can get one, but we can't get both.
exactly, and I think Devers probably is more likely.
Yeah.
Just because we have him under arbitration, we have another year of negotiations that we can work with. But like, again, if you're a player for this organization, what makes you want to sign a long-term contract for an organization that has no direction? You're not
Yeah.
bringing in players that says we want to win championships. You're basically saying, here's a 10-year contract, ride it out. At the back half, we might be competitive.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
basically
even
what it
agree
looks
with
like.
the whole we can't get both of them. I think it's we don't want to get both of them.
Mhm.
They don't want to pay both Devers and
Well, hey,
Bogarts. They're
like
going to
we
look at it.
saw, like we saw today, Fenway Sports Group is selling Liverpool. So whether they're taking that money and reinvesting it into another sports franchise, or if they want to throw that money back at their teams, which I think I know they have a lot of NASCAR investment, but I know they have obviously the Penguins and then the Red Sox. I don't know if there's any other Fenway Sports Groups.
I saw that Fenway Sports Group has interest in the Las Vegas NBA team that supposedly is coming.
Of course.
So that's
So just
around the
real
rumor.
quick. So I'm curious what you guys think about this one. So let's hypothetically Bogarts doesn't come back, right?
Yeah.
So let's say he signs somewhere else. Do you guys think that the Red Sox make a splash in free agency and sign somebody, or do you think that they just bite the bullet and say, okay, Jeter Downs is ready and he's going to be our guy?
I think Downs is probably more likely.
I agree.
But because the thing is they gave up a lot to bring in Downs. Obviously, he's part of the Mookie Betts deal. Him and Connor Wong are basically the core of what was brought over. You got Doogie too, but Doogie's already on the other side of 25.
Yeah.
So
Or, hear me out, do we keep Jeter Downs down in AAA, give him another year, move Trev back over to shortstop? And
that's what
then
me and Cam talked about.
put a guy like Arroyo or somebody that we have, just one of those.
The thing is
kinda-
with me is Jeter Downs has already played 3 years in AAA.
Yeah.
I don't think
but then he
move-
gets up to Boston and shows that he isn't even close to ready, in my opinion.
That's what I mean,
Yeah.
and
He
that's
looks
why
like he looks foolish.
that's what I'm saying. I think that they're probably going to bank on Jeter Downs and bring him up. Should they? No. Should they deal him? Yes.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're kind of, again, in this mindset that we're not winning a championship anytime soon. So the worst thing that happens is we bring him up, let him play a full year here. He gets a shit ton of experience, and then
Well, how
hopefully
far
good
away
things
is
happen.
that Marcelo
Marcel
Mayer?
Meyer, probably 2
Yeah.
or 3 years at
20,
least.
yeah,
So
20, 25 maybe.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, is that what we're looking at here, where it's going to be a major rebuild for 2 years?
I mean, I'll tell you one thing that damn well has to happen this offseason is they need to ship Bobby Dahl back to like Korea or something. They need to get him so far out, so far away from Boston. Send him to Oakland or
He's like-
something.
Him and
to
Franchi are like the same exact person. So
Yeah.
you can't hit a beach ball with
You
a
can't have
Bodor in the
both.
majors, but then you go down to AAA and
And
you
you
got these guys hitting
mash.
400 with 40 dongs.
But you know why we don't have to
Pure
worry about
definition of
that?
Quadruple A players.
Because the Red Sox have the next Barry Bonds, Tristan Cassis. I think, and he proved beyond a shadow of doubt that he's ready to play in the majors last year.
Oh,
yeah.
It's beyond a shadow of a doubt. So I think there's no reason why you should move on, why you shouldn't move on from Cordero and Dahlbeck.
Yeah, I don't think we have a reason to bring either of them back.
No,
Ship him
not
out
at
of here.
all.
Get him gone.
Yeah, and I think I'd like to see them bring in some more like utility guys, just dudes who can.
But even
play all
guys
around.
like Christian Arroyo was actually kind of a nice surprise.
Yeah.
Like he did very well, and I think he played just about every single position.
That's, I
that
mean,
we had.
he had a very Brock Holt-esque season, if you will. Like and again, he's not an all-star, but he's solid. Right. He'll give you innings and positions when guys need days off. He's going to hit 270. He'll hit 15 homers, maybe drive in 60 runs. Yeah. But like a guy who's a utility that can give guys off days, that basically doubles everything that he does, whether the numbers are there or not. Yep. So like, I don't know.
Another thing to keep in mind before we switch on to our next team too is that if they really wanted to, they could try and convert Kike back to a middle infielder.
It's true, but I really like him in the outfield.
I don't think he'll do that.
As do I, but it's just something to keep in mind.
Last time they did that, he got hurt.
I still lose sleep over the Hunter Renfroe trade.
Yeah.
No, Jackie Bradley, man.
Jackie Bradley doesn't even hit his weight, and he weighs 110 pounds.
We should move on at that point.
Yes.
Right. Where are we going next?
We'll go to the Central.
Central,
the worst division in baseball.
All right, let's start with the White Sox.
I think they're a very similar position as the Red Sox. Again, they don't have a ton of direction, but they do have prospects. Is the thing is they have some good prospects.
But my thing was this year, right? So they finished exactly 500. They finished 81. And I was looking at this earlier because I had the White Sox written down as one of my, I guess you could call them surprises for only finishing 500. But it was guys like Robert, guys like Eloy Jimenez.
Dylan Cease.
They missed. I'm talking these two guys missed a shit ton of games. I think Eloy only played like 40 games or something. Yep. I don't know the numbers exactly.
I think Abreu missed a good amount too, didn't he?
No, Abreu. I looked at that one too. He played pretty much a full season.
Oh, was it last year that he missed a lot?
Eloy missed a bunch. Robert missed a bunch. But it was Tim Anderson. That was the other one.
Yeah.
Tim Anderson missed a shit ton. But then you had guys like Abreu and Pollock who played pretty much the entire season. Abreu only hit like 15 home runs.
Yeah, his power numbers are way
guys like
he dropped.
AJ Pollock didn't do any. You had these guys that you were hoping would lead your lineup, and it just didn't happen. And then you had guys like Dylan Cease, who was an absolute animal all season.
Yeah.
Like every time that dude got the ball, you had a feeling you were going to win.
Yep.
But then you had guys like Giolito and Lance Lynn, who were supposed to lead that staff, who didn't do that. Giolito finished 11-9, I think, and Lynn was kind of around the same place. Mm-hmm. So, again, I think part of that was like Tony La Russa problem, and I think things are kind of going to turn around now that they have a new guy in there.
Yeah, I agree on that for sure.
I think the La Russa was just too much of an old head, and I think guys just couldn't.
Well, I think
Giolito was an all-star.
Go ahead, Kim. Go ahead.
Giolito was an all-star 2 years ago. They bring in Tony La Russa, and all of a sudden now he's 11, like Chris said, 11-9.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think Tony La Russa, aside from being an old head and having that outdated coaching style, I think he was a cancer to their clubhouse.
That was exactly it. Him and Lance Lynn had that whole debacle.
Well, and who was it that hit the home run off the swung what was it against the Rangers or something?
Oh, was that Yerman Mercedes, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he flamed him to the media saying he didn't approve of it. Like that, you go to bat for your guys. You don't torch them on the media.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Anderson thrived. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're good. I was done.
Tim Anderson thrived 2 years ago when he was allowed to just do what he wanted to do, be him, be the asshole that he is. I'm sorry, but
he is. Yeah.
He's under him and under Tony La Russa. All of a sudden, now you just saw. I know he was
wasn't
hurt.
happening.
Well, you got with an old manager like that. Old managers like that don't like players that play with swagger.
No,
and that's what's
why
you can't have a guy like that in the game now.
That's why, like the Nationals, when Harper was coming up, you had Davey Johnson, fucking hated Bryce Harper because he's an old head. Bryce Harper's new school baseball. At the time, he was a 3 true outcome player for the most part. He was speed and either home run, strikeout, or walk. And he's obviously developed now, but it's the same style player. And I think you got a similar thing with Don Mattingly, was in Florida. I believe he's fired now, right? I don't think Mattingly's there anymore.
Yeah, I think
him and Jazz, he hated Jazz Chisholm.
Yeah,
I think You gotta it's a time in baseball. You gotta let those players thrive, not only for the better of your team, but for the sport.
All these guys that are playing with the flair too. Those are your superstars. Like,
Yeah.
These
are the guys that are
in seats.
And that's exactly it. But these are the guys that are helping you win ball games.
Mhm.
Like as long as they're not going like outside
Doing
the bounds of normalcy and running around the bases with their fucking dick hanging out.
Yeah.
Like who cares?
Or
like,
that dude on the Pirates that had his cell phone in his back pocket. I forget
that shit. That was funny.
That was a good one.
And
That
only
was
got a
funny.
one game
Yeah.
suspension for it.
Or he should have like tweeted a selfie when it fell out of his pocket or something. Make it worth it.
The umpire's just looking at him. He's like,
Do it like
what do I do?
He's got to do like an ad deal or something when he's on
Do
the
I
field.
call
to
you
make up
out for that now? What's going
It's
on?
bizarre, but so
All right, let's go to Cleveland.
I mean, they're going to win that division for the next 60 years, probably.
You think?
I don't think I think you're going to be able to tell by the end of May next year if the White Sox will contend with the Indians Guardians. Sorry, Guardians.
Oh,
My bad.
you had it right. You had it right.
We got to mute that out.
See, I think just going back to the White Sox thing, though, I think when they have everybody and everybody's like there,
I think they're good.
How can you not win that division with those three stallions you have leading your pitching staff?
Division.
Yeah, that
Right,
division.
but that's exactly. I'm not saying they're gonna make a run into the postseason, but there's no reason that the Guardians should even give them any kind of trouble.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, it's
But again, the Guardians did it this year, and was it because the White Sox had a bunch of injuries? Probably. But
I don't know but the Indians have a pretty good staff as well, and they got.
I agree.
I mean, Jose Ramirez is a superstar.
Got that dog.
Yeah.
He is an
You got
absolute
that
dog.
dog.
You
You got that
got
in
him. Miles Straws playing great there. Like they
Stephen Kwan was a good surprise
That's true.
too.
Yeah. Up for Rookie of the Year, he's a finalist, top 3.
Yep.
I think, and I mean, I'd say other than Julio, he probably is the Rookie of the Year. He had a great year. He had over 300. He had like 320. And that he's an old school player. That dude's not going to give you power numbers, but damn, is he going to give you an OBP up near 500? He's going to get on by any means necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be between Cleveland and Chicago for
a long
there's
time.
no
foreseeable
doubt.
future.
Yeah.
There's no doubt
I mean,
between those two teams. I don't see the other three going anywhere anytime soon.
I mean,
we can move on. Like we could probably talk about all
go right
three
on
of the
to
other
Minnesota.
teams together, honestly. Minnesota, I think, is in a much better spot than Kansas City and Detroit. But because Minnesota's got some players. I mean, Byron Buxton, in my mind, he's a superstar.
Stay healthy. He's got to stay healthy.
That's a
He has
biggest
not
thing.
completed a season yet.
Well, that's their whole franchise, though.
Yeah,
These guys got to stay healthy. Like they just they have a lot of holes in places where they have no depth. Basically, as soon as a guy goes down, they don't got anybody to fill in.
I think again, kind of like same thing. Rocco Baldelli is kind of a problem with that team too. So he was an average to maybe above average player.
Yeah.
And those are usually guys who translate over to good managers because they understand the game so well.
Right.
I've seen him make so many bonehead decisions as far as when to pull pitchers.
That's the biggest one I was going to say. Yeah.
Starting pitchers and his making bullpen changes. I'm just like, I just don't get it.
It's guys like that who need the analytics department behind him just to be like, yeah, hey, go get this guy. Hey, don't go get this guy.
Well, and I feel like he's just one of those guys who, like, he has all these guys in his ear telling him what to do. Like, you have your pitching coach, you have your hitting coach telling you what you should do in this situation. And I feel like he's just one of these kind of new head guys who's just stuck in his way.
Yep.
And he's going to, okay, my way or the highway. And it's just
not
not
working.
working.
You're about to take the highway, but
He plays in a pretty shitty division. I'm not going to lie. So could he get lucky and maybe squeeze out a division title if he doesn't get canned before then?
In like June of this year, they looked like the favorite in June.
Yeah.
I will say, guys, that one of like the guy I picked out as a surprise from them was Gio Urshela. He had a pretty solid year for them. Hit like almost 300, 15 dongs, 70 ribs, like. And that's what you're going to get out of a guy like that. And those are the guys that win you divisions. You have your superstars like Byron Buxton, but you need more guys like Gio Urshela. They're going to play 150 games a year.
Yeah.
They're going to hit 300 to getting damn close to 200 hits a season. Like those are the guys you need.
Outside of those two guys, I don't even really know who the Twins have. Like
they just lost Correa. I don't see them re-signing him.
They got Trevor Larnach. in the outfield there.
Max Kepler.
Jose Miranda I think again more of a future player to watch. He's still super young. I think he's 22 or 23, but very legit talent. But yeah, outside of that, they don't have a lot. And I honestly don't even know what their prospects look like. I don't know what they have in their farm system.
Yeah, I don't.
With that said, I think we can kind of just talk about Kansas City and Detroit at the same time because they're dumpster dwellers.
There's really not a lot to say other than dog shit.
Yeah, they're
literally
basement dwelling teams for the foreseeable future. I would love to see Salvador Perez get the hell out of Kansas City and go to a contender. I'd love to see him go to like St. Louis maybe with Yadi gone. I think that'd be a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
The only bright spot for those two teams, and I'm drawing a blank. Who's their third baseman for the Royals? They just brought him up.
Torkelson.
No, that's Tigers. Bobby Witt.
Right.
Bobby Witt, yeah.
Very
Legit.
legit.
Only bright spot. I think. Yeah,
Bobby Witt had a great year.
Yeah.
I would say Brady Singer also. Brady Singer had a very solid year. He was basically the only bright spot of their entire pitching staff, top to bottom.
Yeah.
So is it safe to say that the Royals are going to be good before the Tigers are good?
I don't think so.
I think
the Tigers are going to be good before the Royals are good?
I think they're on very similar trajectories. Because I think they both just brought up what they believe is the future of their franchise with Detroit and Torkelson, Kansas City and Bobby Witt. And I would argue that if you compare those two guys and their upsides, Kansas City's probably better off. Because Kansas City also has pretty good pitching prospects, although Tigers do have Tarek Skubal, who is
Riley Green.
Pretty good. Yeah, Riley Green. Like they have I think that they're on very similar trajectories, but I think Bobby Witt is a literal superstar just waiting to explode. The dude is so good. He plays with so much swagger. He's so fast. He hits for power. Like he reminds me, he's kind of like an infielder, mini-me Mike Trout, kind of like when Mike Trout came up, very similar play style, and it's fun to watch.
5'5" tool guy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But other than that, I think the Central is very obvious what's going forward. And I think the AL West is kind of similar.
AL West is a two-team race. No one else.
I will say, but you have to, for the AL West, the Rangers have pieces that if they built around, they could get there.
Not next year. Give them 2 years, I think. And
not. I don't even think within the next 3. But it's going to get there. I mean, if you get guys like Corey Seager to come back, if you can get Jonah Heim long term, if you can get Marcus Semien to stick around.
I mean, I think they have Seager and Semien for 6 and 7 years apiece. So
I mean, that's
just going to surround those two guys now,
and that's exactly it.
And they have some good pitching prospects coming up, also too. Like is it Taylor Hearn? I think is his name. They got some decent. They have good prospects. Josh Young. And I don't really say his name, pretty legit.
There's rumors now they're going to get Evaldi too, which obviously Evaldi's not what he was, but
I mean, you
still
can
a piece.
gladly take him.
Yeah, it's still a piece. And in that division,
he would.
You can squeak out a wild card because
fire.
That's what I mean. You can. That's probably the easiest division to win a wild card because you're playing so many games against those lower level teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, and then you're going against the Angels and the Athletics, like
right.
I think the Athletics put more guys on the field than they have fans in their stands.
Oh, and the amount of different dudes that they fielded this year too. Their lineup was different every day. Yeah, and they don't seem to have. Ridiculous. I think they have. Was it Shea Langoliers is literally the bright spot of that entire organization. Other than that, they have nothing.
Imagine being Shea, like
everything.
This is what I had to look forward to.
I was going to say like it's a lot of weight on your shoulders, but in reality, there's literally zero weight on your shoulders. You're going to just disappoint 35 fans every night. Like it's not that big.
You're a guy like Julio. You're about to get the keys to the car. You go to Seattle, big market over there. Yeah. Like your team's good now. You're walking into a hostile environment, ready to play. You got Shea. He's coming up. He's going to be able to hear his mom screaming in the stands.
You got people fornicating in the freaking the upper level. Like. Oh, what a dumpster fire Oakland is! Like,
and it's part about Oakland is their announcers. All right,
yeah,
that's all we can say about them.
Shouts out, baseball is dead. Dallas Braden.
Yeah, it's bad.
But
I feel like Dallas Braden gives me like that major league vibe.
Oh, it's awesome, just like Bob Uecker.
I love it.
Yeah,
nobody's watching anyway.
It's true though. But like on the flip side, dude, if I'm a Seattle Mariners fan, I am buzzing. That team is so exciting. They have some sick young players.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys read my entire blog earlier, but you see
Yeah.
what I had at the bottom?
No, them winning it or
Seattle in
yeah,
6.
he did have Seattle winning it. Seattle in 6.
the World Series.
Yep,
I didn't see all the way to the bottom. Okay,
that's a spoiler.
yeah,
Seattle
going
in
forward,
6.
but yeah. So
All right, so let's move on. NL East.
yeah. Well, let's
Probably.
let's go back to the
Oh,
AL
go
West real quick because we just didn't even say like I think that the overall consensus of that division, top to bottom, is
Two-team
pretty
race.
much well. But even
It's a
1 through 5, I think is pretty obvious. Like you got Astros,
Yeah.
Mariners. I would say Rangers got to be probably third. I mean, Rangers and Angels are fairly interchangeable, but I think the Rangers have the edge.
Right now, I
Right
would
now
say
it's
so.
Rangers, yeah.
But I think
But
going
give
forward,
it another year or two, Rangers are gonna
yes,
run away.
Yeah,
I
no.
agree. And then the Athletics have zero direction. They're just hanging out.
that franchise is a
Yeah,
mess.
and then
Yeah.
then now to probably the second most competitive division in in baseball, the NL East.
Yeah,
And I think honestly next year with the momentum that Philly's going in with, I mean obviously like I said before, I think the only other team like there's two teams in baseball that are just bulletproof at this point is the Braves and the Astros. The Braves obviously had a rough postseason, but I think as far as regular season teams, those teams are so good at managing their players and their arms. So like, I think they'll win the East this year for sure. I will say the second and third teams could be jumbled because I think with DeGrom gone, the Mets are always going to Met. The Phillies coming in with their asses on fire after just I feel like honestly, even if Philadelphia, if they won the World Series, their fans probably wouldn't even be a hell of a lot more excited or have any more momentum going into next year. Like they are literally riding as high as they can be right now.
Yeah, Philly's pissed.
So
you could tell.
I had in this order, I had it going Braves, Mets, Phillies, Marlins, Nats, but I only had the Mets and the Phillies being separated by 5 games, and
Could be less than that, honestly.
Obviously, that could be interchangeable anywhere in between those 5 games, but I think that Philadelphia was just like kind of like a Cinderella story this year. They weren't supposed to be there, and that's just like one of those classic stories that you hear about all the time. It's like, don't let us get in, don't let us get in,
Yep.
and then you let them in, and they do damage.
Yep.
But the big thing for them is getting in and making it there again. Do
They have
That's-
that roster.
That?
So
that
one
kind
thing
of
I
roster that's gonna. They
yeah,
have that kind of roster that's gonna. They might not be a 100-win team, but if they get in, they are gonna hurt you because you're gonna.
But
yeah.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
In that division, you
They
need to
could get
be a
in.
90, 95 win team.
right. Well, and I think the Phillies making that run makes them a lot more attractive to free agents also. So I think
Yeah.
that has a lot of impact on their season in 23 as well.
Yeah.
So like a lot's up in the air for them, and I think they can only go up. They're not going to get any worse. They're going to be a better team next year. How much better? Don't know, but they're going to be better.
A lot of rumblings of possibly Trey Turner ending up over that way too, which
If they get Trey Turner, that's
that's
scary.
what does that mean for Bryson Stott? Do you
Yeah.
move him over to second base and get rid of Gene
I think
Segura?
you have to.
Yeah.
Bryson Stott has a pretty massive upside, I'd say. Defensively, he's very good, and I think he's shown flashes of how good he can be with the bat.
But do
Obviously,
you also take your face of the franchise player and move him out of a position that he's not typically playing, and put Trey at short and Stott at second?
I mean, where he's that young, I don't see why not. Yeah, because I mean, there's a logjam in their infield there too with young players. Because I mean, Reese is under 30, Bohm is 20s.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd have to be you'd have to have a conversation with him. Don't do what the Red Sox did and be like, oh yeah, we're going to sign another shortstop and we're going to hope he plays second base.
I don't know, and I'm still not too high on that Trevor Story signing, if I'm being perfectly honest.
I love
But
Trevor Story, and I'll die on that hill.
I
I love the
Trevor
bat.
Story,
I don't
but
know if I love him at second base.
I think that's
Yeah,
an adjusting thing still too. I think you're not going to be able to tell for a couple of years. But then the nice thing is, I think the very obvious choice, like we talked about earlier, if Bogarts leaves, I think you just got to put
Move
short.
him over.
Yeah, you just got to put him at
Yep.
short.
Yeah.
But
all right.
Yeah,
So,
so-
run down your guys' predictions for the NL East. What do you got?
I think Braves obviously run away with it.
Yeah.
I have the Phillies finishing second over the Mets. I think
I
the
have the
Mets.
Mets finishing second.
Well, I honestly think if the Braves come out slow like they did this year, you could have those three teams being separated by like 4 or 5 games
Yeah,
at the top of the division.
Second and third spot was tough for me.
Yeah.
I didn't know which way to go with it.
Yeah, that's a logjam at the top 3 there. I think the Marlins again as a team. I think they have a really high upside for the future because they have.
I want to talk about the Marlins.
They have some wicked good prospects. And I mean, Sandy Alcantara is debatably the best pitcher in the NL.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not playing on a team that's going to get them a lot of wins. But
that team needs a manager who's going to let their players like be them.
Let them players play.
Let them players play.
Yeah.
They need to let Jazz Chisholm just unleash, do whatever the hell that man wants on the field. Not only for a better product, but he played better when he was allowed to do his end.
Yes. Yeah.
You guys saw who they signed for a manager, right?
No,
I didn't.
Skip Schumacher.
Oh, I did see that, and I actually like that fit too.
Yeah, yep.
I like that actually. Young manager. He was again, like we talked about, mid to slightly above average baseball player when he's in the bigs, but very intelligent player, and I think that's gonna.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
obviously
they have
they have what's her name, the female GM. I forget what her name is.
I forget her name.
NG or whatever. I don't know how you say her last name, but she's making good moves as far as like lower players. They got was it Khalil Watson coming up, who's very good. You'll have him at short, Jazz at second. That's like just dripping with swagger,
And
like
dynamic,
2 players.
dynamic
yeah,
duo,
like that.
yeah.
That's a filthy middle infield. And you can kind of build out around that because they have so many prospects because they've been bad for so long. Very, very similar to the Orioles. I just think that they're further behind in that process, but very similar to the Orioles.
I don't think they're going to win a lot, but that team's going to be a fun watch next year.
Oh, yeah. They always
just in terms of pure product. It's going to be awesome to watch.
I watched them just for Sandy and Jazz. Other than that,
absolutely.
like all the other players are all bonuses. Like, they're a fun team to watch. Was it Miguel Rojas too?
Yeah,
pretty legit. Like he's still got some pretty high upside. Yep, Garrett Cooper I think is still there.
Mm-hmm.
They have Stallings as catcher now. Who's solid. He's a solid catcher, not bad. But like, they have a similar trajectory as the Orioles. They're just I would say like 3 or 4 years behind them probably. Yeah, but they're a team in 10 years time that could be competing. I think for the NL.
And then you have
the dumpster fire.
Yeah, but we don't even need to talk. I don't even. There's nothing to talk about.
They traded away their best player. Their 2 best players.
I mean,
they got nothing.
It's a full rebuild.
It's
a full rebuild.
Yeah,
full on.
Especially after you dump Josh Bell and Soto. Like,
yeah.
I honestly thought that they would deal Soto and keep Bell because Bell is similar age to Soto is going to be cheaper. But
I feel like once you trade Soto, though, you just have to get rid of it all.
I mean, you want to talk about going full rebuild, you're basically trading what should be the core of your rebuild. So you're like really rebuilding.
Yeah. They're going to be
they really
don't. To come.
They don't. I mean, Joey Meneses is probably the bright spot of that whole team. Other than that, don't know anybody.
All right.
So Central.
Move on.
Central.
This one was an interesting one.
We're not doing predictions yet, right? Because I'll keep those in the.
We'll do predictions at the end. But
all right,
I think this is a weird one because I feel like the Brewers, in a sense, how they've performed the last 2 years down the stretch, seem to kind of be on their way out. Like they just don't seem to have that firepower to get them there anymore. But the Cardinals are kind of fizzling out in the same way.
This whole division, I feel like, is going to have.
I mean, I think it'll be interesting how the season starts when you lose. Like Yachty and Albert they're the core of the locker room.
Yeah.
So now all you got left for those wily veterans is Waino.
I thought he was gone too.
Yeah.
No, he's coming back for a year.
Oh, is he? Okay.
His contract's up at the end of the year next year.
But then you have guys like Arenado, you have guys like Goldschmidt who can
O'Neill.
I'm not saying they're going to be like an Albert or a Yachty, but those are guys who have been in the league long enough where they can kind of.
Those are also the 2 guys that are the MVP frontrunners. So
exactly. So I mean, it's like,
and they got some prospects too. With was it Yepes? They got Nootbaar. O'Neill's still pretty young.
They're going to take a step back this year, though.
I'm curious to see who they have lined up for. Who do they have catching behind Yachty this year? I don't even know.
Wasn't it like Kinsler or something like that?
Oh yeah. Oh, and then we also Dylan Carlson also was a stud. young kid
He
coming
doesn't.
up.
Yeah, he's not,
Not
a
a
catcher,
catcher,
though. I
but
don't
yeah.
think.
Yeah, I don't even know who their catcher is. I know Yachty DH'd a little bit, I think, but
I'm looking to see who they had for catchers. Yeah, the only one that they have on the roster as of now is, I don't even know how to say it, Knizer.
yeah, Nizer, I think, yeah.
So he's the only one that they have. But
So they're gonna get one.
even like their starting rotation, it doesn't look great, but it doesn't look horrible. Like you have Wainwright, Mikolas, Jack Flaherty, Jordan Montgomery, and Matthew Liberator. Like
Liberator's got some pretty good upside too. He's still pretty young. He's still a prospect.
yeah, he's young. He was born in '99, so he's only whatever
God.
23. He just turned 23
23,
yesterday.
yeah.
Well,
Jesus.
yeah, he's got a lot of upside. But I think and then the Brewers, I think they're very close to rebuild. Honestly, I think,
well, especially with all this talk of getting rid of Woodruff or Burns or both.
I think it'd be smarter to deal Burns and get prospects. 'Cause you're probably going to get more value back for him. I think you just got to define what you want to do before you start dealing those guys, though. And I don't know how long they have Renfroe locked up for. I think he's only 29 or 30.
Yeah. But even going around that whole starting nine, it's like you have Sal Frelick, who's going to be coming up, who's probably going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Garrett
what's
Mitchell.
his name? That Haley Cruz's boyfriend or husband or whatever he is.
Yeah.
He made his major league debut, so he's going to be there. But then it's like after that, who do you have? You have like Colton Wong. You have like I don't even know.
Willy Adames.
You have Yelich, who fell off a fucking cliff after 2019.
My boy Rowdy Tellez.
I mean, it's like what is your game plan?
Willy
there?
Adames, I think, is a guy that they should keep around probably as a piece of a rebuild because he's still young. He's still got a pretty big upside. I believe, if I remember correctly, puts out relatively above average power numbers for a shortstop too. So,
yeah, I think they just need to kind of establish a direction with where they're going to go. Cause
I wouldn't be surprised if this year they really try to pull out all the stops, and if nothing happens, you'll see the offseason next year. They start kind of burning the building down. But I mean, again, this is the Central. NL Central is another division that's just. I think it's the Cards and Brewers for the foreseeable future, unless something happens. I think.
I really don't think the Cubs are that far.
I honestly don't think the Pirates are either. I think
Pirates are farther.
I think the Pirates are probably on a similar trajectory as like the Marlins, like probably 7 to 10 years or so. Like Oniel Cruz, gonna be a superstar. Brian Reynolds he's their superstar already. He's the best player on that team. David Bednar, very legit closer, but where he's a bit older, I don't think he's going to be on that team because I think is he a free agent? I think he is.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
But I don't think the Cubs are that far either, and I feel like we all thought that they were going into full rebuild mode when at the trade deadline they were talking about dealing Contreras, they were talking about dealing Happ.
They kept him.
And that's exactly, they kept both of them. So from what I've been reading, that tells me that they're not going in full rebuild and they want to build around those two.
And Stroman too. Stroman, they paid pretty good money.
They have Stroman until they have him locked up until 24, possibly longer with his option.
Yeah.
So you build around those guys. I mean, if you can get guys like Frank Schwindel to step up, and then you have Seiya Suzuki out there too, it's like you have
a good
pieces
core.
where you exactly. So I feel like they're just one or two signings away from maybe not winning the division.
Imagine if they didn't deal Chris Bryant last year. I mean, obviously he went to free agency and signed.
They'd have to re-sign
the Rockies,
him,
which was the most baffling signing ever. But and as a Rockies fan, I still don't understand why he came to the Rockies. But the rest of that division. Well, who's the fourth team? We got Cubs, Pirates,
Reds.
Again, Reds are similar to the Nationals.
Yeah, don't need Jonathan India. Hi, how are you?
And was it Hunter Green?
Hunter
Green.
He throws 100 miles an hour.
He throws hard.
Everyone does. Everyone in the MLB does that.
Aroldis Chapman and ready for him.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to end up being.
Beaten anybody yet? So.
Yeah, I was going to say.
At least that we know of. So, so wrapping up NL West, I think very obviously the Dodgers win the division again.
And again, two-man race.
Yeah, and
I
I
think
think
the Diamondbacks might have it next year.
they have what the
They're
toilet bowl.
another team that
They might have the number one pick.
If hear me out. If the Diamondbacks played in any other division except for the West and maybe the West, they could make a real run at a division title.
You think?
The West, and
Yes.
maybe the West
What,
was
is
in
it
the
jumping
division.
on Zach Gallen and Ketel Marte's
But-
backs and bringing them all the way there?
But especially so now you have Ketel Marte, you have Christian Walker stepping up, you have Dalton Varsho who's
That's
stepping
true.
up.
They do have a really
You
good
have
core coming up.
Seth Beers getting there.
Mhm.
It's like you have these guys that
Beers.
they've been in the dumps for a couple of years, but again they're going through the rebuild, and now it's
Zach Gallen proved this year that he's a stud,
Oh yeah,
and
dude
you
can
have
absolutely
Merrill Kelly,
Kelly,
like
which I think
you
they have him long term now, right? Didn't they just sign him to a big
Yeah.
extension?
yep.
But you
Most
have
recent.
guys.
That's
who,
true.
If I mean, they're I don't think
They
they're
could be on a similar trajectory, like kind of behind the Orioles, but not by much. I think
so,
4 or 5 years they could be a very good team. That's true, especially like this year, especially with the explosion of Varsho and Christian Walker. Like those two guys covered a lot of ground for them and got them a lot of runs. So
Mhm.
and to have Varsho have that kind of production, I think is he primary catcher?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or no,
But,
Carson Kelly.
no,
Carson Kelly.
Varsho has been playing a lot of outfield.
Right, but Carson Kelly is the guy that we didn't mention either. Also a
Yeah.
stud. I think he had kind of a down year this year, but again, very good catcher. Higher production than a normal catcher as far as power numbers.
So I was just looking at it, little sneak peek with the predictions again. If all of mine were to necessarily be true, I had the Diamondbacks finishing 8th in the National League.
So 2 out of a wild card.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
Okay.
And then let's go to my Colorado Rocky.
you want to talk about a rebuild?
Yeah, they have a rebuild, but they're kind of in a cool spot for a rebuild because they're in a rare situation where the fans are in on the rebuild, that they kind of understand what's going on and they're really supporting the front office, and like they're all in on the guys that they got. Like Ryan McMahon, you got Connor Joe, KB
Sam
if he
Hilliard
plays more,
got traded, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Chuck Nasty.
And I feel like it's easier for a fan base and an organization to kind of understand that hasn't really been good. So like
Yeah.
the Rockies, they haven't been good since
07.
like 07 when they went to the World Series.
Yeah, I think the last
They
time they made
haven't-
the playoffs was 14, 15.
So exactly. So they haven't necessarily played for anything. So fans are on board with a rebuild. They're like, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
Whereas like you go to an organization like the Red Sox where you've been good for so long, people don't get it.
Yeah.
People are like, okay, we
Wanna
expect
win
to
now.
win year after
Yeah.
year after
Yeah.
year after year, and it just doesn't work.
And I
like that.
think if you're playing the long game, it's better to have a fan base like that accepts it, because I think it tends to result in a more effective rebuild over time.
Yeah.
Because I think, again, in 8 to 10 years or something like that, the Rockies are probably going to be pretty legit.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Charlie Blackmon has basically been carrying that team like his whole career. Like he's been like,
yeah, well, now he's
he's been-
carrying his damn Walker to first base.
I mean, I think he's 36 or 37. He's a free agent this year, but I got to imagine he's going to go back in like a 1 year and retire after this year or something.
yeah.
Because his numbers were way down this year. They got.
What are you saying over there, Cameron?
He might want to just go to a contender. Try and sign a nice.
I don't think he's
low-
good
I don't
enough.
know. I
He's
feel
not
like that
good
would
enough
kind of
anymore.
tarnish his reputation too. That's like a Tom Brady
Yeah, he's a
type of deal.
Yeah.
Rockies lifer.
He's a Rocky lifer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His number is going to be retired as soon as he's out there,
That's fair.
like literally instantly.
That's
So
fair.
I think the guy that the Rockies need to move on from is Kyle Freeland. Prospect that they've been kind of brewing for a while, and he's been like playing in the bigs for, I don't know, 2-3 years now, and it's not working
Not happening
at all. So
No,
but then
it's not
Herman
happening.
Marquez was good this year. He's been good the last couple of years. He's the bright spot of their everything. Actually, the best pitcher in their staff, former Red Sox Daniel Bard, had like
Came out of nowhere.
unreal
literally
season
out
out of
of-
nowhere, and I'm
Literally,
so happy
literally
for him.
came from the depths of hell and just said, "Here, I'm back."
Dude could have been working at a grocery store like last week, and he still throw bucko too.
Yeah.
Easy. But it's
Don't get it.
yeah, they got a weird trajectory, but again, a lot of prospects coming up. They got Michael Tolia, who's a very legit switch hitting outfield first baseman. So like,
Yeah.
they got some guys coming up, some real prospects. So they're an interesting team going forward.
It's just shitty for them that they play in the best or one of the best divisions in baseball.
Really?
Like you,
If they played in the
have-
Central, they would probably finish third in that division every year.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
'Cause they are way better than the Pirates and the Cubs. Or not the
wonder
Pirates
what
and the
Reds.
The Reds. I'd say they're on par with the Cubs probably right now.
Yeah.
I want to see if it goes back that far. I'm on that OSTB website. I want to see if it goes back to. I assume it. Oh no, it only goes back to 15. I wanted to see what the. I can just look 2007 standings were. So like what the teams were looking like back then in that.
I think the
division.
Dodgers were in the basement. I think it was them
Yeah.
and the Diamondbacks.
It was actually that whole division was tight. So
Really?
it was the Diamondbacks and Rockies both finished 90 and 72. The Padres finished 89 and 74. The Dodgers were 82 and 80, and then the Giants were 71 and 91.
Oh, yeah.
So it really wasn't
yeah.
that bad. But you know who was in the bottom back then and still is in the bottom? The Pirates and the Reds.
The Pirates were good from like
It's changed.
2011 to like 2014, and then Kutch,
Yeah.
then Kutch left,
Well,
and they
yeah.
fell apart.
Yeah.
Fell apart. Yeah.
'Cause that team was actually sick back in the day. They had like Kutch, Josh Harrison, Garrett Cole was pitching with them before he was Kermit Cole.
When Garrett Cole was
Yeah,
good.
back when everybody kind of liked him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he was like gutsy and like. Have you guys heard the sound bit of his pump up speech that he gave to the Yankees after?
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible.
It was
I love
ugly.
it so much.
It doesn't look
The
good.
one thing that Garrett Cole has done that I like is when Carlos Gomez
Mhm.
pimped that ball off of him that didn't end up getting out, and he got a triple off of it, and Cole was tripping the shit out of him when he got to third and he tried to fight him.
Hey, he went to the Yankees and he embraced being a Yankee. That's
Yeah.
basically it at the end of the day. Who else do we have left in the West? Obviously, Dodgers are on the up and up. We don't really even have to talk to them. Talk about them.
That's it.
They're
Dodgers, Padres, D-backs, Giants.
that's what
Yeah.
D-backs we talked about. Giants, I think, are in a weird spot, kind of.
Giants are one of those teams where they could be good next year, but they could also suck next year.
They also don't
I
really
feel
have
like they're-
they have like almost no prospects coming up too.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like
I mean, the prospects that they have are already there. Like you had
Joey Bart,
what was his name? Luis Gomez
Yeah.
or Gomez? Luis Gonzalez.
Yep. and then Joey Bart, who replaced Posey.
Posey.
They have Mauricio something. He's an infielder. I forget his last name.
Dubon.
No, that he plays for the Padres. Yeah, I forget what the hell his name is, but other than that, they really don't have a lot coming up. And I think
They have Marco Luciano.
that's what I was thinking of. Yes, sorry, Marco Luciano.
Kyle. He's still a ways. Oh, he might be ready this year.
Yeah, Luciano was who I was thinking of.
Yeah, they really don't have like
Their farm
anyone.
system's pretty bad.
Yeah.
You know who their number 8 prospect is? Reggie Crawford.
Is it really UConn proud?
Gang gang.
Surprised he's actually that low. I feel like with a first round pick, he'd probably be higher, but
They have his ETA is 2025.
well, it's not that far out because he's only 21. So
Yeah.
and they're also probably taking that time to decide what the hell he's going to be.
Yeah.
Um,
Shohei Jr.
yeah, other than that, we got Padres. Padres, I think, are going to be perennial contenders, with or without Fernando Tatis.
Yep. I think Tatis puts them that much further
Yeah.
closer to the Dodgers, but
I'm not
Either way,
going to
they're
be.
gonna
I
contend.
honestly won't be shocked if they try to move him when he comes back because the front office is disgusted with him.
the whole team is, it felt like.
Yeah, I would not be
Well, then
surprised.
you have what's his name? Kim proved that he can hold it
Yep.
down. over
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
So, all right. Well, that was good.
Yeah.
World Series
Combos.
talk.
Yeah. Let's talk the playoffs. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, my highlight of the playoffs was the most fun I had watching the playoffs was the Mariners kicking the shit out of the Blue Jays.
That was awesome.
Yeah, Cal Raleigh just absolutely putting the team on his back. Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez, who I think going into the season were kind of like, oh, these are the guys of the future. And then through the whole season and the postseason, they're like, no, we're now. And I
Yeah.
think that put them over the top.
Yep.
They just looked so good. They just played like a team that's been there before.
Yep.
And it was, I mean, it's tough running into the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
there's nothing they can do, and they fought with them too. They didn't give him. They got swept, but it was not an easy 3 games.
And let me
They
just say,
basically collapsed all 3 games.
Seattle is going to be a problem at home in the playoffs.
World Series.
Yeah, I think. I honestly, if they can get through Houston, nobody's going to take them out.
No, the Seahawks had that 12th man mentality when their football teams were good. Mariners are going to be dangerous. They're going to have a 10th man out there.
I genuinely
out there in
think
Seattle
next year, whether their record shows it or not, going into the playoffs, the Seattle Mariners are the second best team in the American League. I think they are going to come out better than the Yankees, just because of the core that they have and how well their team is meshing and playing together. I think maybe not on paper they don't look that good, but I think they are the next best team after the Astros.
But think about how the Mariners are doing it. They didn't go out and spend a bag on a free agent. They locked up Julio long term.
They kind of spent one on Robbie Ray, and he was honestly their worst starter.
Yeah,
but it's like the Yankees are over here blowing money left and right and had nothing to show for it. This was supposed to be your year to win a championship.
I think the Mariners in a 4-game series would have given the Astros a way better run for their money than the Yankees did.
I'm going to put it this way. The Mariners are what the Athletics want to be.
Yeah.
They have a lot of homegrown guys.
Series like that are fun too, where you get like division rivals matching up, like that Padres-Dodgers series.
Oh, it's crazy!
But it's I got some things about them.
The Dodgers were supposed to absolutely run the table, but you run into a division rival who finished like however many games below you.
Mm-hmm.
When you play with that little bit more, you play with that division rival that you've been seeing. You saw them 30 times or 25 times this year. There's some little bit of bad blood, maybe, but like. You want to beat them that much more, and that's what makes it crazy. Like when in 18, when the Red Sox played the Yankees in the ALDS, or 04 in the ALCS, like or the Rays in 13, like or the Rays last year, even like the Rays last year is a perfect example. The Rays were supposed to steamroll the Red Sox last year, and they just put it on them.
I'm ready to say this too after watching not this Dodgers team, but Dodgers teams over the years. I think I'm ready to call them frauds. They win 100 games every year. Their one World Series win is 2020, the Mickey Mouse year.
You're not wrong.
I'm sorry.
I was talking about it earlier, too. I was like, if they had lost to any other team in this postseason run, I would call it a choke job. Like, you won 111 games or whatever it was. You were supposed to do damage. But, again, you match up against a division rival who's seen you
so many
times during the regular season.
If there's a team that's going to beat you, it's going to be them.
And I agree with that.
But it was like...
But their offense disappears.
Except
like
for
their
Trey
guys.
Turner.
Yes, except for Trey Turner. But, yeah.
But it goes to that same point where you face the Padres however
they know
many
you
times
better than anybody else.
They know exactly how to pitch you.
But it is true. It's a bad look with Dave Roberts going in spring training saying we are winning the World Series this year, and you don't even make it to the pennant.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's a really bad look.
Dodgers are a good team when it comes to the playoffs. Fraudulent all the way.
Yeah.
They haven't won a real championship. I don't see
I'm not
them
even going to call that
there.
hot of a take because I feel like that's rational. Like
I feel like a lot of people are
crazy.
thinking it. Yeah.
But I feel like if they had lost to any other team or got eliminated by any other team, then I would be 100% on board with that. But where they got eliminated by a division rival,
they could have gotten beaten by the Braves, and I would have been okay with it.
Yeah.
But if they got knocked out by if they got knocked out by the Mets or the Phillies, you'd be like, what? How did this happen?
Yeah.
So what was the other? So the division series, you had Mariners, Astros, which their bullpen just let them down. The Mariners bullpen just completely catastrophied, imploded on itself.
I think that was just kind of like a wake-up call for them, too. Like, nobody in that organization had, like, any playoff experience at all.
Yeah.
So you win a series, great. Like, fantastic. You're on the map now, and you know what to expect going forward.
Yeah, I think it gives them a ton of momentum.
And now they know what to look for. Now they know what to do.
You play against the division rival, and they know what you're coming with.
Yep.
So,
and at the end of the day, you ran into the eventual World Series winners, like
who only lost 2 games.
Yeah, exactly.
The entire postseason.
You need to feel good that we got eliminated by the team who ended up winning it all.
Yeah, exactly.
But you smacked the shit out of Toronto at home, which is another very hostile environment.
Yeah.
You walked in there, let your dicks hang, and you slapped them. Like literally, they put it on them. They're off, but again, that series, their pitching was not good in those 2 games. They their offense lit it up.
Talking about choke jobs, that was a major choke job by Toronto, though.
Well,
to let someone walk into your house.
I think it's a choke job to go 2 and out.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
I don't think it's necessarily a choke job going into it because I think the amount of momentum and buzz that was around the Mariners going into that, like that alone almost carried them through that series.
Right. And like I said, if they, like you said, if they had lost in 3, I wouldn't be saying that. But to just be completely taken out at your house, like you have your fans behind you, you have to travel.
Yeah.
Like, that's a rough look.
I definitely, I won't say it's not a choke, for sure, because they were expected to beat them for sure. But I picked the Mariners going into it because I'm like, they have nothing to lose.
Yeah,
like the Phillies, they're there, and they literally aren't even supposed to be there. They squeaked in. Like, it's what was the other series? You had Cleveland, New York, which, to be honest, for the most part, was a super boring series to watch.
Yeah,
we had one good soundbite from it, but
pretty dull series.
And Yankees fans were all jacked up about that one too. I'm like, you let the Guardians take you to 5 games.
Yeah,
it's not a good look. A team a base hits team that doesn't hit home runs, and you lead the MLB in home runs, and you let them take you to 5 in your Cracker Jack box of the stadium. Like, how the hell?
I mean,
how did you lose to them in your stadium?
Hey, we got a good soundbite out of it though.
So which one are you talking about?
Those we want Houston chants, and then getting.
If we want to talk about teams that were actual choke jobs in the postseason, I feel like you got to put the Mets there.
Oh, they're number 1.
Oh, absolutely.
And you have to put the Braves there.
Yeah. I don't know. So, the Braves, I think the Mets more than the Braves, to be honest. I think the fact with how deep the Phillies went, I think shows you that it wasn't as big of a choke on the Braves' part.
But at the same time, you were supposed to be the team that stopped that. You were supposed to be one of the best, if not the best team coming out of the National League, and you got absolutely ran through by the Phillies.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, everyone and their mother was predicting another rematch.
Yeah,
Braves and Houston, and for them not to make it.
I had the Braves beating Houston in 7.
Yeah.
We're talking about all our picks. I don't think I picked a single series right.
Neither did I.
I picked a lot of them, actually. I got a lot of them
right. I think I got every single one wrong.
Well, it was that kind of postseason, though, and that's why it was so awesome to watch. And I think the biggest wake-up call of the whole postseason, I think, was the Astros just sweeping the Yankees. I think was that was them putting everybody on notice, being like, this is us up here, and then there's 1,000 feet of shit, and then there's the rest of the American League. Like, they are so much better, and they're managed better, they're put together better, their front office is better, their players are better. Like, top to bottom, they're just better than everybody else in the American League.
Well,
in the majors,
that was just like a wake-up call for the Yankees, too. They're like, okay, maybe
you're
we're
not
not
legit.
as good as we thought.
Yeah, we're not
And then,
legit.
with the same thing I said about the Dodgers can be said about the Yankees, too. Like, they're just, that was a major choke job by them.
I think the Yankees are even in a worse state than the Dodgers are as far as the season goes.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because it came out after the fact that people were like, we don't even want to play for the Yankees anymore.
Last season, the wild card against the Red Sox at Fenway, they didn't even show up.
No.
Garrett Cole was throwing T-balls. Like, they have the fact that they're still sticking with Boone is insane to me.
Yeah,
they have a lot
I
of.
Can't get on board with that.
He's not a good manager.
No, he's not.
He's just not.
And I think the players they've signed are now realizing New York is a tough town to play for, and I think that you're seeing a lot of that come out too.
Yeah,
where not a lot of Yankees players playing.
And Yankees fans have a reason to be tough. You have all these pieces. You're expected to win.
Yeah.
You spend all this money on these players, and you're not getting it done.
But here's my issue with that, though, is you can be pissed at the team, but to go out and boo Aaron Judge,
the
ALCS is beyond, that's incomprehensible. No. This dude just broke the American League home run record at a time where power numbers are unbelievably down compared to what they were 15 to 20 years ago. And this dude hit 62 homers, and you're going to boo him? This dude literally put the team in a backpack and won the AL East for you virtually. His offense was insane. He literally ran that offense.
have a Red Soxian collapse was because of that man.
Yes, exactly. No, seriously, because their pitching started to fall apart, like everything, and he towards the end of the season, like, and you could tell he was really trying because he wasn't hitting home runs at the end of the year. He was hitting for a higher average, just trying to catalyze the offense, but they're gonna fucking boo him in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah. I hope
the fact that people are even thinking, I don't think that there's a chance in God's green earth that he goes back there.
I would agree.
Besides the selfish reasons, I don't want to see him 30-plus games here. Just
no, true, because he murders the Red Sox.
Yeah.
All
right, so the World Series, though.
Well, we didn't even talk about championships here. Well, we talked about the Astros.
Yeah.
But Phillies Padres was like, if you would have told me that was the NLCS going into it the beginning of the season, I would have been like,
what are you, high?
Yeah, I would have been like, what?
No.
But that was an epic series.
Yeah.
I think it was awesome. I mean, you had Josh Hader going out there and slinging it, finally finding his shoes with the Padres. Like, he was great. Joe Musgrove, gutsy. Like, I mean, obviously everybody on the Phillies just played out of their gourds. Kyle Schwarber literally hit a ball off the face of the moon. Broke the sound barrier with a freaking ball. Like, absurd. Like, that was just a series of offense and pitchers trying to do their best to minimize the damage. Like, that was the whole series.
Yeah, after that first game where the Phillies won 2-0, I thought it was going to be kind of like a snooze fest.
Mm.
But then
it
turned back 8-5, 4-2, 10-6, and 4-3. Like, it was a lot of close games with a lot of offense.
I think I only watched one game in the ALCS. I watched every game in the NLCS.
I watched that's same. I watched more the NLCS and the AL.
Which I think wasn't it like game 2 where the Phillies went up 5-0 or something like that,
and then they came back and
ended up losing.
Yeah. That whole series was just wild.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, and that's what you want in an NLCS.
If the Red Sox are not in the postseason, I root for chaos. I just want mayhem.
Yeah.
I just want the most unpredictable shit to happen. Yeah. Which then brings you quite literally into the World Series with David versus Goliath. Like, the Phillies, no business playing in November. Zero business playing this late in the season. They should have been golfing 3 weeks ago. But they stuck it to them, and they played with. They just let it all hang out, and they played.
Let their nuts drag.
I mean, I have one comment on the Phillies offense. Kyle Schwarber is going to have to think about his last at bat for the entire offseason, where he tried to bunt with 2 strikes.
I genuinely think
you are your team's output on power. You're the only run driven in. You're seeing the pitchers well. Why? Like, what happened?
What are you doing?
It literally felt like a brain
last
fart.
6 outs, the Phillies offense gave up. They just rolled it, just take it.
It felt like it, except for Real Muto. Real Muto in the 9th smoked that ball up the middle, and I was like, all right, maybe a little life. And then
Then they tried to hit and run with 2 outs.
That made no sense.
That was wild to me.
I mean, I get you're trying to pull at all the stops because you're on the ropes, quite literally. You're on the verge of your season ending, but you got a guy who is capable of putting you within a run with 1 swing.
Mm-hmm.
He's done it in the postseason already. The double play is out of the question. There's 2 outs. I just don't.
And a guy behind him who also has shown ability to put a run on the board quickly and bomb.
Yeah, it was a weird call.
It was.
I would love
weird
to hear the decision making behind it from Rob Thompson, but it just.
But do you think it was a Rob Thompson move, or do you think that was Schwarber just trying to be cute?
No, the hit and run. The hit and run was was definitely Thompson. The bunt was definitely Schwarber. Trying to make too much happen. He was pressing. Yeah. I think he saw that third baseline open on the shift and just went for it, I guess.
I almost wonder if he either forgot or didn't realize he had 2 strikes.
Oh, no, because he walked his ass right back.
Immediately, he literally fouls it off, looks up, and before the ball even lands, he's walking back.
Okay.
So
I was waiting for him to pull some Bo Jackson type shit where he broke his bat over his knee.
Or just start freaking on the umpire like he did on Angel Hernandez back in
All right, well, that's always warranted.
I mean, that was probably all right. We're gonna finish this up with so we want to do MVP and Cy Young predictions, but before that, what was your favorite single moment of the season? No matter how big or how small it was.
Oh God. Are we talking on like a personal level, or are we
Anything.
talking as like
Just anything at all.
so? This one we got to experience together. This was going to Fenway back in May and seeing Shohei
That's true.
Ohtani absolutely
Dice the Red
dice up
Sox.
that Red Sox lineup.
And hit like 3 balls off the monster.
On
That
a
just makes
personal
me
note, it
sad.
was that.
Yeah. No, I would agree. As far as like going, as far as a major league season, yeah, that was probably, as far as stuff I saw in person, that was definitely number one. Just seeing Shohei in person.
Mm.
It's like, it's one of those things where like you can tell how good somebody is over TV. And, like you're watching it like over live stream, whatever the hell, but like you see him in person, it's different. And Shohei is like, there's not a lot of guys who give you that, but Shohei is one of those. And I think Mike Trout's another guy that's like that.
Yep.
Of course, he had an
Yep.
off day when we went and saw him, but
See, that's I obviously went. I think what was it? 2 days before you guys went, or
Yeah.
maybe the day before. I think even I didn't see him pitch, but just seeing Shohei and Trout on the field, like I was on the third base side, right in front of me, was just insane to
they're the
see.
2 giants of baseball, and the team
Yeah.
is still garbage.
I'm gonna throw it back though now. If we're going on this, what was your least favorite moment of the season?
Probably Tatis.
God.
Nah, I got one better.
Tatis getting suspended was pretty
Yeah,
upsetting.
that was a low point.
What
Yeah.
else?
Cam, go ahead, share yours. You
So
you chomped at the bit.
me and Sam went to the Astros Red Sox game. We're like, oh, we think this is gonna win. No, we lost. We give up.
Nate
10
Eovaldi
yeah,
gave
runs.
up 5 runs or 5 home runs in 1 inning.
Yeah, that was bad.
That at that point, I was like, "Well, season's over." Back in that was in like June, I think.
That was the first time I think I've ever wanted to leave a baseball game in the 3rd inning.
Yeah, and I
You
think we left on like the 5th, didn't we?
Yeah, we didn't stay long.
Pretty early. This is the tickets were free. We
Mhm.
just had gotten them from like my aunt or something. You're like, we're not staying. This is terrible.
Yeah, no.
And I think they hit back to back to back at one point. Like I think
Yeah.
Pena, Alvarez, and Tucker hit 3 in a row, and I think Tucker hit a grand slam and a 3-run homer.
Yeah.
I think he hit
We
3
were
home
just
runs
done.
that game. It was absurd.
He did.
But I don't know. As far as like baseball wide moments, I would say like my least favorite is probably Tatis. In game moments, Kyle Schwarber freaking out on Angel Hernandez was A1.
All time.
Tremendous. That's
All
S
time.
tier. I would.
When he starts pointing at both sides
Yeah.
and saying both sides would agree that you're shit.
Oh, it's
He hasn't been
amazing.
fired yet. Get rid of
And
him.
he's just standing there looking like a dumbass. He's like, huh?
Well, that's the thing with Hernandez is he hasn't been let go because they've tried to let him go before, and he said it's a racial
Yeah, and he
issue.
sues him.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's a
I
racial
do
issue.
remember that. He did it this past
but
season.
my favorite moment probably would be Pujols hitting 700 because it seemed so unlikely at the beginning of the season. And the dude is just like, I'm 86 years old. Let me hit 25 dongs. And he's like, I'm not going to hit 700. I'm going to hit, 703 or whatever?
Yeah.
They're like, insane. Because then he passed, and also, so he's 703, so he passed A-Rod this year in home runs. And I think he also passed I think Babe Ruth in RBIs. So I think he's second all-time in RBIs.
Yeah, now he is.
I
Yep.
think just behind Hank Aaron, I think, had the most.
One of the coolest moments from the year 2 came during the All-Star break was that run that Julio put together in the home
That
run
was
derby.
sick.
Just
Yeah.
an
Mhm.
absolute
That was
electrifying
awesome to watch.
experience. Especially knocking out Pete
I was
Alonso.
going to say, that made me the happiest, is just not having a repeat champion.
Yep.
And Juan Soto's just like, let me do something cool in a Nationals hat before you send me away. Like a week later, he was dealt.
Yeah. Good. Get him out of. I'm happy that he's out of Washington.
Yeah.
Before we go on to the MVP and Cy Young stuff, just touching on the World Series again real quick. How in the fuck do you not give Framber Valdez the MVP? I don't get
Yeah,
it.
I think you're looking at too much at the complete body of work across the 6 games, and you were just at Framber's 2-game dominance. Because he pitched 13 innings and gave up.
12 and a
Did he give
third.
up any runs? 1 earned,
2.
2 earned runs. How many in 15, 16 Ks?
18.
18.
Yeah, the dude dealt. And to shove like that
And
against
then
an offense like that.
won 2 of your 4 games.
Yeah.
Went 6 and 6 and a third.
Yeah.
If you don't get those performances, who knows what happens?
Yeah, I don't. It
But
seemed
then-
like Jeremy Pena kind of acknowledged it though when he got the trophy. Did you see it? So he got the
No.
trophy and immediately picks it up and goes. He goes, let's be real, we don't really care about the trophy. We care about this one. And it seemed like kind of like a nod that he was like, I know this isn't mine. But
Yeah.
But it was like, did he play great defense? Sure. But like his offensive stats, he hit 400.
Yeah.
Great. But there was just like no like offensive output.
Yeah, output
there.
wasn't
Like you had
crazy.
one home run and 3 RBIs.
Yeah.
Like it's good. It's a good series, but
yeah, it seemed like it was robbery from Framber. I agree.
yeah, I just don't.
Let me tell you, when that dude hits, when Christian Javier and Framber get through arbitration, those dudes are gonna get paid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those
they're
dudes are
getting
gonna
some
get paid.
Yeah.
All right, so we did our kind of way too early predictions. We kind of talked about those for the divisions. So let's MVP and Cy Young for each division or each league. Sorry.
Who's starting it off?
You go.
Yeah, you're good. You go.
All right. So AL Cy Young. I'm going with somebody who was nominated this year, who's a finalist this year.
Can I guess?
Alec Manoah.
Oh, that's not what I thought you were going to go.
Ooh, okay.
Nope.
Thought
So
you
I'm
were gonna go the
going
same as
Alec
me.
Manoah. Went 16-7 this year with a 2.24 ERA, and 25 of his 31 starts are quality starts.
Okay.
Playing in a very tough division. It just doesn't really get much better. And I think he's only going to get better, believe it or not.
Yeah. We'll just do Cy Young, AL Cy Young first, I guess.
Yeah.
So I got two guys, I think, and I think one of them's a pretty obvious contender, and there's another guy that I think is kind of a dark horse. So the guy who I think has a very real chance, I think Dylan Cease, pitching in that division, he can literally light that division on fire.
Yeah.
He's so good. Just absolutely deals. And if the White Sox get on a run, he's just going to be that much better. But the dark horse guy who I think showed some really good stuff later in the season, and I think was kind of coming to his own, is Logan Gilbert. I think Logan Gilbert is very good, and I think he could be a dark horse to be in that conversation, especially if the Mariners are good. So I think if the Mariners are going to be good, he's going to have to be good.
Yeah.
And I like him as a shout.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. Cameron?
It's going to be the most basic AL Cy Young prediction ever, but
Shohei Ohtani.
no, Justin Verlander.
Again?
Oh,
You think he's
stop
going-
it, Cam.
All right, well,
I think he's getting
He's
it
going to go
again.
back to back. I mean, he's going to win it this year. They haven't announced it yet, but I don't think so.
I think he's
I
going to get
think
it this
he's
year.
washed, dude.
I think Verlander's going to get this year, one more year. And then I think he went
Cam,
18
you know
4
what?
this year.
I heard you say Verlander, and I went,
Mission failed. We'll go next time.
He did not understand the assignment. Justin Verlander?
Yeah.
He said, "Mission is fubar."
Yeah, for real. What are we doing? But hey, it's your call, I guess.
Right.
All
Shit.
right, yep.
So
All right, Cam. So you lead us off with the NL one. Now we'll go backwards.
So Sandy Alcantara.
I'm just going to
that's
say
who I
me
had.
too. Yeah.
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 That's the board.
Okay.
Do you have any dark horse guys you could throw in there? Maybe.
I did not have anyone. I looked. I was like, no, I think.
Let me think of somebody dark horse. Maybe.
Yeah.
You know who I'm going to throw out there? Maybe Chris Bassett.
I feel like it's got to be somebody from the NL West division, like a Yu Darvish,
Bueller,
or
maybe?
something like that. Even still,
Yu
Like,
Darvish is a good
Arias.
shout, actually. Oh, Arias is a good one.
Arias is a finalist.
Arias
this
is,
year.
I would say, Arias isn't even a dark horse. I think you could make a legit case for him.
Yeah, he's a finalist this
Yeah.
year. Like,
He should have won it
he's
last
a
year.
stud.
Should have won it last year. He got screwed. Zach Wheeler won it, and Arias was 21-3 with a sub-3 ERA last year, and they gave it to Wheeler.
Yeah, something ridiculous.
So yeah, we're agreed on Sandy. So I guess AL MVP now.
Cam, you lead us off with the
I already
NL
know who
MVP,
he's gonna
seeing
pick.
this,
He's gonna pick
Yeah, he
Shohei.
probably. No,
Shohei.
actually, no.
Really?
Judge.
you're gonna go
With
Judge
who?
Judge.
With who?
What?
Who? What team? What?
with the Yankees.
With the Yankees.
You think he goes back to the Yankees?
Oh,
You
we're,
said
we're
MVP,
talking
right?
about next year.
Okay. Hang on a minute.
Yeah, you absolutely no.
All right, the Verlander pick makes a little more sense now.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, no, we're not even doing. I feel like most of those are pretty much locked up for the for what we have now. But so change your AL one for
Anyway.
next year. I need to hear your AL Cy Young for next year.
Cam, we'll give you a minute to think.
You guys
on
go,
that
give
one,
me a
and we
minute.
can come back to you. Sam, who you got for your AL MVP?
You know, I've thought a lot about this one.
because there's a couple guys. I think Yordan Alvarez is the first one that comes to mind. Because I think he's kind of on that fringe this year. I think he's a finalist, right?
I don't know.
If he's not, in my mind, the three guys, like obviously Shohei and Judge right now for this year, but I think the third guy in that list would have to be Yordan. I just think he's slowly becoming one of the most feared hitters in like all of baseball. Dude literally just mashes baseballs.
Yeah.
And he hits for average too. That's the crazy thing is he's such a smart hitter because you look at his lefty righty splits. He knows that he doesn't have as good power output against lefties. He hits almost 50 points higher against lefties than he does righties, but his power numbers are doubled against righties. Like he's just such an intelligent hitter. And like that's my pick. I think Yordan Alvarez is a pretty good shout for that next year.
Yeah, I mean, I thought a lot about this one too, but I was like, I can't go away from Shohei. Like there's just no possible way for me to do that. Like you have a guy who two ways, you have a guy who pitches your way to 15 wins, you have a guy who hits almost 300 with gonna be 40 home runs. Like there's just, in my mind, there's just no way you can't not give it to him.
My argument to that is I think going to be evident when Aaron Judge wins the MVP this year. I think that Shohei had such an unbelievable, like unprecedented season last year that he set a precedent for himself. And they're basically in MVP voting, they're comparing him to his past years instead of comparing him to the rest of the league. And that's why I think he still could win the MVP, but I think it's as the years go on, because of what he does, it's going to be harder and harder to win MVPs for him because there's no comparison. There's no litmus test. Like there's nothing that they can like do a side by side for him.
Yeah. And I think your team, like overall record, believe it or not, plays a role in it as well. Like if your team sucks, you're not going to like the reason Aaron Judge is getting the recognition he is. Yeah. He hit 62 home runs, but his team also won the division.
Yep, right.
Like won a playoff series. Like if a guy did that and he was on the friggin' Rockies or the Reds or whoever, would we be talking about it? Probably, but would he win it?
No. Yeah,
I also think of the thing with Shohei, he does have Trout on his team still. So you can make the argument, Shohei does more because he pitches and fields and hits for the Angels, but when you also have another generational talent on your team, it's hard to kind of...
Well, I feel like that also...
Unless he has such a dominant season like he did when he won it last year.
Right. Well, I feel like having that other generational talent on your team and also being a sub-500 team makes it look even worse.
Yeah.
It makes it look, it's even harder to give them credit as this valued player. But like the argument to that also is like, well, then try to picture the Angels without Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
And they're a lot worse.
Yeah, exactly.
So like it's, I don't know. There's angles to look at it, but I think that Shohei Ohtani is going to be the best player in the AL as long as he's here.
Yeah,
Will he win the MVP though? Every year? No.
Probably not.
The best player doesn't always win the MVP.
Nope.
So
right.
Do you have a updated Cy Young award that's not a 55-year-old man, Cam?
Updated Cy Young? No, I updated MVP, though, and I still think it's going to be Judge.
With who? What's your prediction?
The Red Sox. I am a firm believer. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a firm believer we go out and get him.
My prediction is he goes to the Giants. I think he's going to go to the Giants.
I am also on board with the Giants.
Yeah, I think
he goes to the Giants.
Sense.
I'd say NL MVP is in the question.
I still got Goldie and Arenado, though. Goldie more so. Goldie, I think, is going to be a perennial kind of guy. But then also the interesting thing about Judge going to the Giants, he's going to play 15 games or so at Coors Field every year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot more home runs.
It's going to be launching.
Yep.
Imagine that, man, at Coors.
Nuclear missiles.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge hits home run 593 feet. Like, what in the hell? Yeah, I think that kind of covers what we wanted to cover in this first
NL MVP.
Oh, NL MVP. That's right. Sorry. You guys go first. I'm still on the fence this one.
I did have Arenado as the NL MVP
For this year or next year?
for next year.
Okay. What about this year? Goldie?
Goldie this year.
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it has to be. As far as next year, I took kind of a guy people wouldn't expect. I went Austin Riley.
Ooh, I could see that.
All right.
So, I mean, again, this year he hit 273 with 38 bombs.
I think he also won was it
And-
July Player of the Month too. I think.
Yeah, and I mean he's gonna get better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's hitting fourth in a dangerous Atlanta lineup.
Yep.
Like
He's got protection.
next year, I would not be surprised if he hit 45 bombs and had 130 RBIs.
Yeah. Especially with all the now you got Michael Harris playing full time in that lineup. You got Von Grisham. They got a lot of guys who are just getting on base for those power bats.
Assuming they're gonna get Dansby back.
I honestly can't imagine seeing him go anywhere else. I think,
Yeah.
but he's again. I think he's going to get paid, but he's not going to get like Correa, Bogarts, Turner money.
Right. Yep. I agree.
He's
with
probably
that.
sitting at like 20 to 25 AAV. I would say maybe 30. Where you
Yeah,
got.
I don't know if I'd even go
Really?
that high.
I mean, I think Bogarts, Turner, and Correa are locked for greater than 30. I think they have to be just because having offensive threats like that at shortstop is such a premium that you're going to pay
I
for
put
it.
Dansby at like 23, 24.
Yeah, that's fair. Who do I have as the NL MVP? I want, for some reason, I'll just say it, and this also depends on where he goes. Trey Turner. I think if Trey Turner lands in the NL, there's a very real chance that he could just, because he seems just on that brink of having just like a crazy season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the fence about him too, but I just feel like where he's typically a leadoff hitter, I feel like there's just not enough production.
Jimmy
for him
Rollins.
there to.
Jimmy
Yeah,
Rollins won an MVP.
But yeah, Jimmy's okay. So Jimmy, who else?
Jimmy Rollins won the MVP. Yeah, I can't think
But
of
I'm
any
like,
other ones.
If he hit somewhere in the lineup like third, fourth, fifth,
Yeah,
where
that's
there's
fair.
more
I don't know. He hit.
offensive production there.
That's the thing is when he played for the Nationals, he hit third. So it depends what lineup he's being inserted in. Because then you got lineups like the Phillies. That lineup's all over the place. He could hit anywhere in that lineup. So you got Schwarber leading off. So like,
Yeah,
Trey Turner comes to mind initially. Part of me, I would love to see a super dominant NL pitcher win Cy Young and MVP. Because I think the last one to do that was Clayton Kershaw. I think. I just don't know if there's anyone that can do that. Yeah, I'm sticking with Trey Turner. That's who I think.
respect it.
All right.
And Cam, you said Arenado.
Yes.
We're gonna have to mark all these down and revisit them a year from now.
Cam, start that spreadsheet.
Yeah, I'm going to just send me what you said because I was too busy focusing on fixing my picks.
Yeah, we can text it after. We'll get a little sheet going. And then 1 year, henceforth, November 7th, 2023, which will be a week before they actually announce the awards. We will see how we pan out. It's probably going to be like Trey Turner played 4 games because he went on like religious sabbatical or something. and something weird. But yeah.
Did you do all of the division predictions?
Yeah. Well, we pretty much ran them down, and I think we kind of covered what our predictions were based on how we spoke about each team. So I think, we pretty much covered it, I think, and because we ran down this year, we ran down what the future was going to look like. So I think, next episode, I think we agree we're going to cover free agency probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I think after that, we're going to have some goofy episodes where we do like all-time theme teams and stuff like that. Yes. So that is episode numero uno of the Bush League Boys pod. You know what we do? We bring them out with a little sandstorm.